Hello everybody, it's Jake aka Korean Jew Trading, and I am here with the Syscoin team. We have Dan and Sebastian. Thank you so much for joining me, guys, and we're going to talk about Syscoin today and Block Market and Block Foundry. I'm really excited about this. How you doing today, guys?
Good. Thanks for having us on here.
Doing great. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely.
It's my pleasure. Dan is the gentleman with the Blockchain Foundry shirt on, and Sebastian is the guy with the facial hair that I'm quite jealous of. You see, as a half Asian man, I cannot grow a beard like that, but I always wanted one. So, Syscoin, why don't you guys tell us, before we get into the project, a little bit about how you two met and how you got into blockchain altogether? I always like to ask this question first because I find it fascinating. So, yeah, let's hear it.
Sure. Sebastian, you have the story down pat now.
Absolutely. So I guess for me, the story began in November 2011 when I saw an article on Wired magazine called The Rise and Fall of Bitcoin. And this particular article was talking about how this new digital currency called Bitcoin had just crashed from $34 to $2. And the article essentially proclaimed the death of Bitcoin. Me being a contrarian, I became immediately interested in the technology and started reading up on it. The more I read, the more excited I got. Here was a technology that combined cryptography and novel concepts such as proof of work together to create what seemed like a winner to me. And so in January of 2012, I made my first purchase of Bitcoin. I bought like, I think it was $500 worth of Bitcoin at the time for $2.15 a Bitcoin. And kind of stashed it away and sort of forgot about it for a little while until 2013 when I became interested again when I saw the price rising. And I started reading more and more about the technology itself. And as I read and looked at the source code, I became really excited with what I saw that what Bitcoin could do, especially when I started seeing technologies like Namecoin that were essentially using the Bitcoin network in novel ways, right? There's a lot more that you can do with a distributed ledger than just ledgering a balance back and forth. A distributed ledger is basically a decentralized ledger of data state. And that implies that you can essentially ledger much more complex data structures than just a balance. You can ledger a domain name, just like Namecoin was doing. And you can also ledger much more complicated kinds of data and processes. And so I became immediately interested in doing that. Now, before I really got into Syscoin, I built a meme coin over New Year's 2013, 2014 called Kitty Coin. And Kitty Coin was basically my response to Doge. I saw the success of Doge at the time and I was blown away. I'm like, oh my God, here's somebody that took, took a Bitcoin clone and created this fun meme coin and everybody got into it. So I'm like, well, if somebody builds something for dogs, I can do this for cats.
Genius,
so
genius.
I
remember those conversations too. I was like, dude.
Like, why not? So I got into I can't remember which code base I cloned. I think it was Litecoins. And I started playing around with some parameters, got to know what all that was about in terms of kind of the basic parameters we could set on a Bitcoin-like blockchain, and went ahead and did a Bitcoin talk post about Kitty Coin. And that's where I met Dan. Dan was one of the first responders to that particular post. I basically announced the coin and asked for help, and Dan came along and said, I totally am into helping you. So I said, absolutely, because I really need help here handling everything that was going on. The thing was blowing up and people were actually interested in this thing. So fast forward a few months, I started getting kind of bored with just doing a meme coin. I saw that there was a lot more that you can do with a blockchain. And that's really when I kind of proposed the idea to Dan. I said, Dan, let's build a cryptocurrency that does something really interesting, right? We have the potential here to be able to create some really interesting services on the blockchain that I think will serve a lot of people. And so what we settled on really was decentralized e-commerce. What we wanted to do is build a series of service primitives that you could use in various different ways to be able to enable decentralized e-commerce. So I wanted to create something like a decentralized eBay or decentralized Amazon type platform. So we got to work and we developed a few core services to make that happen. The first one was aliases, which is essentially our identity service that allows you to create an identity on the Syscoin blockchain, as well as create for yourself a human readable address to send money to. The second one.
So just real quick on aliases. So if I sign up, I can make my name Korean Jew, and people can, instead of having to copy my Syscoin address, they can just send right to that address.
Got it.
Does that also work for Bitcoin?
It does not.
No,
it does not.
Just Syscoin.
It's only for the Syscoin network.
Okay.
Yeah. Although Bitcoin could do it if you really wanted to, right?
Sorry for the interruption. I just want to.
That's perfectly okay. So the second service and kind of the flagship service that we built was offers. And offers are really the mechanism whereby you can essentially list something for sale on the Syscoin network. Offers allow you to list either physical products, digital products, or even sell your own services online. So offers is kind of the centerpiece of all of our Syscoin services now, but they are paired with other services as well. So for example, we have something called digital certificates on the Syscoin network. Digital certificates are simply a way for you to be able to ledger some information and provably own it. So a certificate has two parts, a private and a public part. The private part is only visible to you as the owner of that certificate, and the public part is visible to all. So there's lots of use cases for this, including things like ledgering licenses and certificates and that kind of stuff. But when paired with offers, what you can do is you can actually sell data, right? So think about, for example, selling a game code or selling information, selling ebooks. That kind of stuff is easy to do with a Syscoin offer and a certificate, and that's kind of one of the main use cases when you look at it from a kind of an e-commerce context. And then we have some other services as well that are highly useful to making e-commerce happen. Things like escrow. So if you want to engage offers using escrow, you can do that using a third party that will help to make sure the transaction goes through well. And we also have an encrypted messaging service we added one at the time that allows you to essentially send messages back and forth to anyone else on the Syscoin network in an encrypted fashion. Now the latest version of the Syscoin protocol that we're about to release coming up in just a few days, actually, will include an asset service, right? And essentially, what assets are tokens. You'll be able to create tokens directly on the Syscoin network, just like you can create an ERC20 token now on the Ethereum network. And not only can you create fungible tokens, just like you can with ERC20, right? Meaning tokens that can be subdivided into fractions, but you can also create non-fungible tokens that basically remain as whole units of a token, as well as create fancier things like associate one or more tokens to some unique piece of information. So think about, for example, creating tokens that are backed by some particular physical good. You can easily do that with tokens. Anyways, that's essentially how kind of Syscoin came to be. We started working on the code base in early 2014, and we did our ICO on August 2014. Actually, it was one of the first ICOs in existence, long before Wall Street even knew what an ICO was. And long before there were any mechanisms to actually run an ICO. So these days, people have all kinds of fancy to be able to run these things. The ERC20 is easy. There's a million guys that will help you consulting with all this, but there was none of that when we were.
What was that like? Yeah.
We're literally sending just hundreds of Bitcoins to this Bitcoin addresses people were posting on Bitcoin Talk with promises of, great projects being delivered on the back of that. And in a lot of those cases, people would, because they're just getting hundreds of Bitcoin sent to a Bitcoin address. The people who are receiving those Bitcoin would just vanish from Bitcoin Talk. And that was just that became really common in 2014. Like the environment became such that people were hesitant to invest in any ICO because without some company securing the coins because everyone was getting robbed, basically. And they were raising dramatically less than people are raising today. Like I remember back then, I think we raised 1,500 Bitcoin, and I think that was like $1 or $2 million, and that was like an astounding amount of money back then. And now people are raising like $100 million every day, and it's just crazy to see. Like it's a very similar environment to back then. Like they're still raising a bunch of money and then vanishing, after they make these promises. But the amount of money is just an order of magnitude larger. It's crazy to see kind of how it's coming back around.
Right.
Absolutely.
By those standards. Sorry.
One of the big differences between ICOs back then and here now is that most ICOs that were happening back then actually had some kind of product backing them. So when we launched Syscoin, it was actually a working product with offers working, aliases working, certificates working, all of this, right? These days, you see ICOs that give you a promise, and that's about it. And so I think that's one of the big differences between then and now as well, is that, the kinds of ICOs that are happening tend to be more for application-like things, like a particular product in a market vertical, whereas back then we were really focused on utility tokens. We were creating infrastructure that could be used to build applications, and that was always our focus, was create infrastructure that can be leveraged to build really cool stuff.
Yeah. So for me, and to be honest, Syscoin was one of the first coins that I actually traded and invested in when I got into crypto last summer. And I think I lost money on it, but it's okay. It's not your fault. But it's kind of surreal that you guys have been around for some time. You've seen the space grow. And I'm somebody that's somewhat new here. It's very surreal for me, and I'm really honored to be able to sit and talk to you guys about your project. I want to thank you for that. But as far as why I found Syscoin attractive and still do, just like Sebastian said, there's a lot of ICOs now that are raising millions and millions of dollars with just a white paper and a promise. There is no guarantee that they will deliver, and Syscoin is something that a project that came out in 2014, raised money, had something tangible in front of you, so you know that you're not investing in just a piece of paper. And they've been working away for the past 4 years. Now we come to towards further along in the roadmap, like 4 years later, and stuff is about to start happening. So I'm really excited to hear. I'm sure you guys are excited as well. What can we expect? I mean, it's been a long journey. It's not over yet, but we're getting somewhere. And I want to know what Syscoin has planned and what I can expect coming in the upcoming weeks, days, months.
Well, and we're getting somewhere fast now too, which is something that I'm definitely really excited to see, because when we did the all ICO in 2014, a significant portion of that was stolen from us. Something that we're still in the litigation process around today, and we're actually hoping to see some results on that. We're told by like September of this year, but because those funds were stolen, we planned on really working full time on this after that ICO had closed, and then when those funds were stolen, we kind of had to go back into sort of hacker mode where we still had day jobs and we were trying to put in time on Syscoin after work, but we just couldn't move the project along as fast as we wanted in that sort of mode, And right. So fast forward 4 years, we still made improvements. We got Block Market Desktop out, and that's still a one of its kind wallet that no other cryptocurrency has, and you can access all of Syscoin's features through Block Market Desktop. But I think you were to ask anyone on our team, we wanted to be delivering more and at a higher quality level as well, and it was just not really possible with the resources we had at that time. So fast forward 4 years, and now we've raised private funds for Blockchain Foundry, and Blockchain Foundry is built on building blockchain products. And because we have Syscoin as a testament to our expertise in the space and as our track record, we do focus on trying to build products that can leverage Syscoin's services. And so in the past 4 months since we've had this funding, we've really been able to not only expedite the development of some more advanced features of Syscoin 3, but we've also been able to really push forward on a more mainstream consumer-friendly vision for Block Market Web, which when we announced it to people, I think was largely communicated as what you see in Block Market Desktop will just be the same in Block Market Web, but in a browser. And now that vision has changed entirely to really be a product we're designing from the ground up to go head to head with the likes of like eBay and Etsy and Shopify.
Do you plan on having like a mobile app for that as well?
Oh yeah, I mean, one of the main design considerations around the Block Market Web product is being mobile friendly. You'll be able to use all of its features from your phone. It will be a hybrid experience where you're using a mobile website to start that operates as closely to an app as possible. And then in the near future, we will be, releasing two things actually, a Block Market Web mobile app most likely, and then also you may have heard in our recent QA, we talked a bit around the Syscoin extension that we're developing called Pangolin. And so that'll also have a mobile counterpart as well. So there'll likely be two applications, since Pangolin serves to really secure your transactions, whether you're working within a browser on your desktop or whether you're working within a browser on your phone or a mobile app on your phone.
Yeah, I think one of the most important questions that I need to ask, and that other people will ask in regards to Syscoin, being that you're going up against these heavy hitters like Amazon, eBay not as much as it used to be back in 2014 or whatnot, but I'm somebody that's used eBay in the past. I used to sell Nickelback T-shirts and stuff on there, and I actually owed eBay some money, and I ended up closing my account and not paying them, but that's a separate story. Amazon I do use, however, and my dad actually sells a ton of restaurant supplies on eBay. So
cool.
I wouldn't buy anything on there right now just because Amazon is easier for me. I have Amazon Prime. So what is your plan to attract buyers and sellers to participate on Block Market?
Well, I think one of the main things for us is the ability for buyers to really, for buyers to get things for cheaper on Block Market, because the sellers are not having to pay, a middleman to list things, even if they don't sell, which is the case often with eBay. Even if your item doesn't sell, you have a few opportunities to relist, but eventually you still have to pay eBay for those listings. So on Block Market, you pay a substantially lower cost to the network to list your items. It's a fractional amount of sys instead of, something that's quantified, and it's not even a penny in terms of the cost of the transaction. And then when it comes to merchants, what we want to do for them is make it really easy to move, to appreciate those benefits. We want to make it really easy to move from whatever platform they may be using now to Block Market. And so we are building extensions for various platforms, eBay included, that with one click will allow merchants to migrate their entire inventory from those platforms to Block Market. And so what that really enables them to do is sort of test the waters of Block Market in a really low friction way. They don't have to enter all of their items in one by one. With one click, they can just have them over there. And then two, if they see the success that we plan for them to see on blockmarket.com, they can basically start to use the Syscoin network's marketplace to increase their own shop's network effect. So they may have some things listed on eBay, which is getting them some traffic, but they've got even more people coming to them on Block Market. So now they're kind of tackling the market on two fronts rather than just on the eBay front, and it's substantially less costly for them to tackle the market on Block Market.
Yeah, at the end of the day, with sales, it's a numbers game. So if you have a bunch of items listed on eBay and you're a seller and this is your business, it never hurts to be listed somewhere else, especially if you're getting sales. So there's already established clientele there.
And we have dedicated plans within marketing to drive both buyers and sellers to blockmarket.com and other Block Market deployments that we learn of to have them, experience those benefits. And so I do think that it's a little bit different than eBay in that we will be looking at like stores that are listing things that we think people would want to find, and really helping to amplify the signal around those in ways that eBay is really no longer focused on.
Now, what's to you?
Absolutely.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So think about Syscoin as a network of products and services, right? Anyone can come and product or a service for sale on that network. And Block Market is essentially the front end to that product and service, and there can be lots of instances of that front end. So some people are going to want to stand up a Block Market site that acts a lot like Shopify would. If you're a seller and you have a particular set of goods, you're gonna You're going to come and install the Block Market Web instance. That's going to be your e-commerce site. And then you're going to go and list your products on that instance. And then what you're going to do is you're going to drive traffic to that particular website, just like everybody else does right now when they build an e-commerce site, right? And that acts to drive buyers to a particular website. But the products that are listed on that website by the seller are also reflected on other Block Market Web instances. Because they're just on Syscoin's network of products, anybody else that has a Block Market Web instance stood up that shows that particular category of product is going to see that product. And that particular seller is actually acting essentially as a reseller or affiliate. They're standing up a website that has a whole bunch of different products that are listed on the Block Market network, and they're taking a small fee to essentially then marketing that particular website. So you have this kind of collective effect of a whole bunch of different sellers driving traffic to their own websites, but also kind of force multiplying the Syscoin network of products under the hood, and that all gets reflected on other websites. So it's a little bit like maybe like Google products, where people list products that they have on the Google Products Network, and that then helps to drive traffic to their website. In this case, however, that product could potentially be sold by a number of different sellers who are standing up Block Market Web instances.
Very interesting. Now, also I'm thinking about it from an investor perspective, but let's say I'm a seller on Block Market, and now I'm being paid in Syscoin. I mean, there is an incentive that their payment may actually appreciate. The value of the Syscoin they receive can go up. Like the token itself, talk to me a little bit about that, and where's the demand for the token? How does it work? How does the user buy it? What does that look like?
So, I think the easiest way, so when you talk about demand for the token, the interesting thing about the way that Syscoin is constructed is that as demand for the services that Syscoin provides increases, that generates more demand for the token itself, because in order to leverage any of these services, you need to have the Syscoin token. So as more people are listing certificates, you need Syscoin to list those certificates. And so there is an inherent utility to the token in that respect. And so to even start getting involved with this stuff, you need to get some Syscoin tokens. And by and large, I think the easiest way to get Syscoin tokens today is to download the latest version of Block Market Desktop, the wallet that Blockchain Foundry has built for Syscoin, and use what we call the funding manager to purchase Syscoin through a service called Changelly. And that will allow you to purchase the Syscoin directly through that wallet experience, and then the Syscoin will be directly deposited in your wallet. There's not a whole lot of transferring you need to worry about from a user perspective, and you also don't need to worry about going and registering on an exchange and providing a bunch of KYC information and being limited on transfer size. And that's something we really tried to enable so that more people could get into Syscoin really easily without having to figure out how to convert fiat on Coinbase and then send those Bitcoin to some exchange and sign up on that exchange and fill out all the KYC information and convert the Bitcoin to Syscoin and then send the Syscoin back to the Block Market Desktop wallet. Obviously, all those layers create a ton of friction that'll turn off any mainstream user, right? And as we move forward with our product plans around products on top of Syscoin, that's one of the main friction points we're looking to remove, is to make it as easy as possible to move from the currency you have in your pocket, be that fiat dollars or Bitcoins or some other worthless currency like Verge, to Syscoin. Yeah, I didn't throw that in.
Shots fired.
To the Syscoin and leveraging Syscoin services. And then once you've leveraged those services to buy and sell items or whatever you may want to do on the Syscoin network, you can then hold those Syscoin with the possibility of them appreciating in the future, or you could start saving Syscoin towards what's called a Masternode, which will actually allow you to earn passive income on top of the Syscoin you've already earned on the network.
Tell me a little bit about that Masternode, because obviously in the crypto space, when I think of Masternodes, I always think about the people that bought Dash Masternodes for like dirt cheap, and I mean they could they don't have to work now because they have them.
So $1 million for a Dash. It's like $700-something thousand for a Dash Masternode.
So masternodes are a certain amount of tokens. I believe for Syscoin, was it 100,000, or have you decided yet?
100 is 100.
So if you buy 100,000 Syscoin, you would then lock them up in the masternode. This reduces the circulating supply. In turn, for holding that masternode, what happens? You get rewarded in Syscoin on a monthly basis, based off of transactions, or how does it work?
Every block. It's just every minute blocks. So
Yep.
So you just have money coming in.
Yeah,
that's right.
And Sebastian, you want to go into some of the details on the ROI and how it compares to Dash?
Sure. I don't have the ROI numbers in front of me right now, but I can tell you that a majority of the block rewards that are going to be created every block actually go to the masternodes themselves. So we design the masternodes to issue out a fairly high percentage of the block rewards that are being mined now, right? And the idea really was to incentivize people to stand up these masternodes, because they are going to make up the backbone of what we're calling our level 2 services. We're planning a bunch of novel services that will essentially leverage the masternodes themselves to work. Like even currently, actually, our new asset service, the way that it works does make use of masternodes to be able to increase transaction speeds and reliability. But that's just the very beginning, right? We have a lot of plans for how to actually leverage masternodes themselves, because they're not just something that pays out money, they actually do work, right? And so that's what we're making them do. We're leveraging them to be able to essentially, in the future, increase our ability to scale to very large scales for application. We're going to, I don't want to get into this too much, but the way we feel about scalability now is it's really all about data indexing and aggregation. Besides making use of things like off-chain contract execution. But we're going to need those masternodes to be able to perform the work of indexing and aggregation in order for all of this to work. So that is part of the reason that those masternodes are there. But in terms of what an end user can expect from running a masternode, is they can expect a fairly high ROI from their masternode investment. Like we said, block rewards will come in on every single block, and I think that those first few thousand masternodes that will be stood up will stand to get a good benefit from them. And it's kind of nice, essentially, because what it does is it transforms our network into kind of a hybrid proof of work, proof of stake type of concept, where essentially proof of work is used to advance the network every block, but we also have this kind of pseudo proof of stake component that you can use to essentially earn additional Syscoin for yourself. And you earn that additional Syscoin by providing useful services on the Syscoin network via masternodes.
And something different about our masternodes, and I don't know about all the masternode implementations out there today, because I know there are a lot that have done what's called the masternode pump thing, where they implement masternodes for no reason other than to say
it's a
masternode lot of supply and cause a pump, blah, blah, blah. But a difference with our masternodes is, as Sebastian mentioned, they will, and they do already, and we plan on expanding this, they will serve a pretty critical piece of the Syscoin network infrastructure in terms of providing those layer 2 services. And if you read what major organizations in the space like Microsoft are publishing about how they feel blockchain will play out in the identity space, they're aligned in terms of that vision of layer 2 services really being what enables scalability. And so we're right there with them in that respect, and that's what we're setting the groundwork for.
It's really exciting. When can the masternodes go live? Do you have any idea? Can I set up a masternode right now?
So you can't set up. You can set one up on our testnet to see how that whole process would work, so you're ready to go when they roll out. You will be able to set them up as soon as we release the mainnet client of Syscoin 3, which we are targeting for April 30th. It does look like at this point, and there's some conversation happening about this today, that might actually be more towards May 1st because of how block times work and the fact that we are set on a block and not a particular date and time. And due to network difficulty changes, it looks like the block time has shifted the actual occurrence of that block to being a few hours later than the 30th. But we'll be communicating that to the public in a post so that they can understand why that's happening. And this way we can stay aligned with exchanges and other organizations who provide services on top of Syscoin, who are focused now on that block number rather than jumping around at different times and the block numbers that may or may not occur during those times.
All right, great. Another thing I want to ask, I noticed that there's an ICO called Coin Payments Coin, and I noticed that they are going to be providing an airdrop to Syscoin holders. Can you tell me a little bit about that and what's going on there?
Yeah, so Coin Payments Coin is actually a platform that has their own sort of centralized marketplace right now, which they allow people to purchase items on with different cryptocurrencies, Syscoin being one of them. And so as that offering of theirs gained more and more users, they sought to decentralize it. In decentralizing it, they came to us because they knew that we already had the infrastructure for that through the services that already exist on the Syscoin blockchain. And with the upcoming asset service, it made a lot of sense for them to implement an asset on top of Syscoin and then use that within the marketplace that they want to create also on top of Syscoin to accomplish their goals, rather than going down the route of having to try to write all of this functionality from scratch on some other blockchain such as Ethereum, where it's untested and unhardened and they'd have a lot more ramp up to do, since I don't think that they specifically have a lot of solidity development experience. And so that's where they came to us, and as part of the airdrop, what that enables is basically users, it kind of gives them an instant user base, right? Where if they airdrop some of CPS coins, all of the Syscoin users who have aliases, then all of those Syscoin users that have aliases can now go to CPS coins marketplace, also on the Syscoin market, but likely that marketplace will likely use CPS coin and purchase items there. So they don't have to, it's kind of free marketing for them, right? They don't have to do a lot of marketing to get people interested in what is CPS coin and how do I use it, because a bunch of people will end up with CPS coin in their alias balances. And in some cases, people are buying aliases and loading them up with balances just so they can participate in that.
Now, do the Masternode holders also get the CPS airdrop?
If they have a balance on an alias, yes.
On an but
at the moment, I don't believe you can run a Masternode off of the balance on an alias, and so you would have to have some coins. You wouldn't be able to run a Masternode with 100,000 sys and then also get the airdrop on top of that. You would want to put those sys on an alias, get the airdrop there, and then move those sys over
move it back. So you take it down and then do the swap. All right, really interesting stuff. We covered a lot. I know I'm really excited to see what the summer holds for Syscoin, and there's a lot of developments coming out in the near future. Is there anything we missed? Anything else you want to talk to before we jump off?
I think an interesting thing that's worth mentioning, we have a lot of Blockchain Foundry has a lot of product plans for Syscoin itself. But as you likely know, and as other people may know, we are a blockchain products and services company. And so we do have people, we provide services everywhere, ranging from everything to advising people if an ICO is the right path for them. And, based on their kind of desires to raise capital, if the ICO path is right, or if private investment is right. And if private investment is right, we have some connections to help them with that. If they have a product already that they're looking to decentralize using blockchain technology, we advise them on if blockchain is the right fit for them. And if so, we help them develop architectures around that to actually, and we actually end up doing the implementation most of the time for them. And so what we're seeing is a lot of interest in that side of our business. And I think that ultimately is going to be a boon for Syscoin holders, because while we don't exclusively work on those projects in Syscoin, if Syscoin technology is a good product fit for what we're trying to implement, we will use Syscoin. And in some of these engagements we're working on, Syscoin does seem to be like it's a good fit. And so what that means is you will be seeing more and more products and organizations using Syscoin technology in both public and private blockchain settings, which by itself will bring even more attention to the Syscoin ecosystem, which we think is a really valuable thing because we've developed this protocol with these services that can be combined in interesting ways to achieve different end results. And now, not only are we building products on top of that, but companies who are looking to leverage the blockchain to decentralize their existing products are seeing value in what we've developed there and our ability to decentralize their product using that same technology.
Really interesting. Sebastian, so last question, where do you see Bitcoin by the end of the year? Give me a price prediction.
Price targets. Okay, we don't usually engage in any kinds of price targets.
Bitcoin, not Syscoin, Bitcoin.
I'll say this: up.
So you're not bearish. What do you guys make? Being that you bought at like $2.50 or something, and people are saying, "Oh, it's crashing," and it's at like $8,000. I mean, isn't it surreal for you?
I really could care less. I mean,
right.
I personally think it's hilarious.
It's amazing, right? The market psychology is.
I didn't buy at $2, right? But I also didn't buy at $20,000. And it's just funny to see it go from where it was kind of sitting at for so long through 2017 to even to where it peaked up at 20, and then where we're at now, which is around like 9. And I mean, I remember like it must have been just like last week that I was reading articles from these major centralized banks saying like Bitcoin is dead, the bubble is popped, this is all over, and literally like the next week it goes the next a 20% gain. And so I just think that people shouldn't read too much into those articles claiming Bitcoin is dead. Like Sebastian explained, it died in 2014. When the price went up to.
How many times has it died now? Like 4 times. I'm like Mr. Bean on the roller coaster. And I don't really have time to do a lot of checking and price charts either. We're so busy right now with building on Syscoin and block market web. That's basically all we do. I do have my charts. I have been trading for a while, and I have my short-term targets. Like I do feel that Bitcoin is going up to at least $10,000, but based on looking at my chart, I can't tell you what comes after that. So we'll have to see.
Oh. Well, guys, it's really been an honor and a pleasure. I had a blast. I enjoyed this. And, I look forward to seeing what happens. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us, Jake, and it's been great talking with you.
Absolutely, Jake.
We'd love to talk to you again after, Syscoin 2's been out there.
Yeah, definitely. Let's do an update. I'd like to do that. All right. So if you guys like this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and do your own research on Syscoin. Really, it's a very interesting project. Take care, everybody.